So this is the Great Fire of London, one of our literacy units. And you see here, it's focused on Key Stage 1. There's 18 sessions. The final outcome is a diary entry. And the reason why we've chosen a diary entry is because there's a little bit of a focus on Samuel Pepys, who of course wrote a diary describing the Great Fire of London, and we're going to use that as inspiration. Our 21st century skills are critical thinking and collaboration. So if I scroll down just a little bit further, we've got here our unit of study outcomes, and you'll see these outcomes are really short and snappy. So these are the outcomes that are going to build up to their final diary entry. So they're going to design a poster, produce short descriptive sentences, write a short paragraph, draw and write about a character, perform a drama activity. And through each one of these outcomes, they're going to be focusing on one or two literacy skills. The idea is then that after this, they'll have enough knowledge, enough information. They would have thought about the philosophical concepts. They would have worked together in groups, done some critical thinking. All that rich information they have and skill progression, they're then able to write their final diary entry, which is based upon the Great Fire of London. And you can see here our expected skills and our beyond expected skills here. If I scroll down even further here, here's our national curriculum skills, our spoken skills, our reading skills, and our writing skills that will persist throughout the unit. We have some homework opportunities that can be filtered through and some thematic opportunities. And of course, here is our vocabulary. All of this is going to be working its way through the project and the unit of study. Here's our expected vocabulary and our beyond expected vocabulary. And if I scroll down again, we come to our sessions. Every single session has a wealth of resourcing. So you've got your key questions here, you've got your objective, and you've got your outcome. So the first outcome on session 1 is to design a poster about life during the Stuart times. And here's a delivery of the lesson. It's telling you what resourcing to use. There's some activities in there as well. And you can see here in session 1, we've got 2 videos, one on home life and one that introduces the Stuarts. And this will be the stimulus for them to design their poster. So there's going to be lots of historical language in there, lots of vocabulary, and then they're going to design that poster. So if I go to session or lesson resources here, and I click on that, I've got my poster template if I wanted to print that out for the children to use, or of course they can use that in their books. If I scroll down to session 2, they're going to produce a short descriptive sentences using nouns and adjectives. And we've got here the structure and how to do that. And we've got, again, in our lesson resources, our drafting sentences worksheet. And so if you just scroll down, you'll see here, or if I scroll down, you'll see here the wealth of multimedia resourcing that comes with the unit and all the text as well. So this one is a drama activity as well. We've got an extension activity where they do a bit of drama. You can see here they're going to draw and label a character. And if I go to lesson resources, here are our different characters. I can click on that. And I've got these different characters that the children, they can choose these different characters and they can read up about them. And then they're going to use that as an example to do their drama activity and write and draw about them and what their job was in the community. I scroll down a bit further, we can see session 5. Every one of our units doesn't just consist of philosophy, doesn't just consist of health and well-being and our 4 21st century skills, but also every one of our units has at some point a comprehension activity that has also interactive online questions, which we can come to in a second. But again, these can be printed out, the comprehension activities, in the lesson resources area. I scroll down to session 6. We're now thinking about the actual fire. This is some sensory language that they'll be doing. another video about the weather, because of course the weather played a great impact in the Great Fire of London. Thinking here in session 8 about what items, firefighting equipment was used. And here, like I said, is our well-being session. So every one of the projects has at least one well-being. This is about the emergency services. And after that, they're actually going to learn about the emergency services. There's a video here for them to do, and they're going to label a modern day firefighter and fire engine. And I'll do that in the worksheet here. And we've got a little apostrophe worksheet. So if I scroll here, you can see the teacher defines what an apostrophe is using the resource. As a class, children can write down examples of a contraction apostrophe, and you'll see that in the objective as well. So, it says to know what an apostrophe is, to know the two purposes of an apostrophe. And again, each session focuses on just one skill. Now, in every one of our projects, we have mini online kind of games, I suppose, or puzzle quests that they'll have to do. And this engages their critical thinking. So this is an example in session 11. In session 11, they're going to write a monologue from the point of view of a firefighter who engages in a particular scenario in the Great Fire of London. And what they'll be able to do in this lesson is that they're going to choose a selection of these firefighters and pick which scenario best suits their characteristics and their traits. And so there's lots of inference and lots of retrieval in this activity. And after they've done that and engaged in that, they're going to write a monologue from the point of view of one of those firefighters. Another one here is in session 12, where they're going to go alongside a puzzle quest. And they're actually going to try and work out what happened during the Great Fire of London. And they've got these little puzzles that they'll be able to click on and unlock the next sequence of puzzles, so they actually find out who was responsible for the Great Fire of London. And after learning about who was responsible, this is a great time then to focus on Thomas Fariner, who, legend has it, was responsible for that Great Fire of London. They're actually going to storyboard the events after knowing about what happened of the Great Fire of London. And then this engages then their philosophy session, where they'll be thinking about blame and responsibility. And we got here all the questions and discussion points that the children can answer and pose to one another. And if I go into lesson resources, I've actually got the activity sheet there. And then I can listen to some eyewitnesses. So we've got a little video here with some eyewitnesses, and I can click on that video, and 3 children will give their point of view on what happened during the Great Fire of London. And then if I scroll down further, we then start focusing and honing all of our attention onto Samuel Pepys and focusing on him as a person, because he is going to be kind of the inspiration behind their final diary entry. And we've got a planning structure here for you, the success criteria of how they're going to plan their diary. Here's our planning sheet. And by session 18, they should then be able to write their final diary entry with all the knowledge they've picked up, all the skill progression they've built upon. They should execute a really, really successful diary entry. Now, you'll notice here that on quite a few of our lessons, you've got some extra resourcing here that says stimulus on scene. And you can see here there's some little icons that you will be able to click on. So if I scroll up, you can see here stimulus on scene for our puzzle quest activity, and you can see one here for our fireman activity. So if I go on stimulus on scene and click on this, here is our Great Fire of London scene. On a few of those sessions, you'll be able to click on the stimulus on scene and access some of the interactive features on here to further deepen children's engagement into the particular session. For example, in our sensory language activity, they'll be clicking on the ambience button. So if I click on this here, you'll hear all the sounds. And at some point, they'll be transferring onto the Sunday, the 2nd of September scene. And it's at this point, they'll be then focusing on the Great Fire itself and what happened. So this, of course, is showing what happened before the Great Fire of London. Everyone's doing their normal routine. Everyone's doing their normal jobs. But if I go into the Sunday, the 2nd September on this toggle switch here, you can see it totally changes. And I've got a new ambiance button here for one of our Century language lessons again. And I click on this. You can see that we've got a completely different soundscape here for what's taking place. We're obviously now at the heart of the Great Fire. Now, on one of the sessions, I mentioned that there is comprehension. You can, of course, print those off, but if you want to do it interactively, all you need to do is click on the question mark icon here, click on the curriculum reading button here, then click either stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. That's basically easy. That's basically working below, working at, or working above. Now, I mentioned that on some of the sessions, there are these little mini activities. So I'll just go through a couple of them with you. One activity was the fireman activity. So if I click on these characters down here, it gives us these different firemen and their profile and what they're good at and what their strengths are. So if I go on to another one, you can see here Robert Brown. And what you do in this activity is you've got to link, or the children have to link, which fireman is best suited to one of these 3 scenarios in red. So if I click on this, they've simply got to read this particular scenario and choose which fireman best suits this scenario. And of course, there's lots of inference, lots of retrieval here, and the children will have a great time doing it either as a whole class or in groups. The other activity is this puzzle quest. And you'll see here, there's a selection of puzzles here. Inquest 1, Inquest 2, Inquest 3, and I simply click on these puzzles.
It's total chaos here. Buildings burning and rubble falling everywhere. The smoke is...
So here we have one of the firemen. He's going to lead us on an inquest to find out what happened to the Great Fire of London and who was responsible and how it all started. And so we then engage in our inquiry. So if I click on Inquest 2 now, we're going to meet a young little boy who's going to give us some clues as to where to go next. And I can read this out with the children, or they can again work in groups. And you've got here a missing word. So, sir, run away, sir. The fire is spreading so fast. Every building here is made of wood is the answer. So then to unlock the next clue, I go on to Inquest 3, type in wood, and then I've unlocked the next clue, in which I can then work my way around to find out how it all began. This is really good fun, lots of critical thinking in that, and lots of reading skills such as inference and summary. I mentioned every unit has a comprehension activity, and each of these comprehension activities has an audio book that goes with it. So if you wanted to print the sheets out or use it online, the audiobook can be accessed here. So I click on this audiobook.
Wednesday, 5th of September, 1966. Great Fire over. Early this morning, the Great Fire that has...
I can have that playing whilst the children read their comprehension sheets and complete the comprehension questions. So all you do then to use this scene is just check out which buttons to click on the scenes according to which lesson it's asking you to do that. And there you can access the multimedia stuff, access some of the extra video content, the puzzle quests, the activities, and the children can engage a little further. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. And that is our Great Fire of London with a diary account entry on the inspired.literacy platform.